Hi there, and welcome to Erisha EduSupport, an initiative done by the Rana Group, which is into providing training for students for various competitive entrance examinations, which helps them to get admission to not only Indian top-notch universities, but highly recognized global universities. We continue our journey on graduate record examination where we are trying to understand the various styles of questions within a section and the entire set of sections itself. In the last video, we introduced you to the entire verbal reasoning where we told about the number of questions, the number of sections, and how the sections are adaptive in nature. We also continued talking about reading comprehension as one of our style of questions that come in GRE, verbal section. Today, we complete this video by talking about the remaining two styles of question. One is the text completion and the other sentence equivalence. Text completion. While this is a set of question which will test you on your understanding of various vocabulary. They are not here to this particular set of questions is not here to test your reading skill, because skilled readers do not just absorb information that's presented on the paper. They in fact go deeper. They try to understand the meaning. They try to interpret and evaluate the meaning. They look at for those words which are so regularly used but are has a multiple synonyms and antonyms associated, which is not so easy to recollect and understand in our regular sentences, right? Text completion questions test ability by removing crucial words that completes the entire sentence or a passage given to you. So as we rightly said, that it tries to assess your vocabulary. So what is the structure of a text completion set of questions? So you'll be given a passage, slightly something like a 4 to 5 sentences, and these passages will have certain blanks. Now each blank has typically 3 options. Now it depends on the passage. So if your passage has more than one blank, then each blank will have 3 answer options. Whereas if your passage has only one blank, then you will have 5 answer options for that blank. Now, each blank will have one single correct answer. All the blanks, the answers for all the blanks are independent in nature. So you do not have to look at what blank is dependent on the other one, right? So you can answer independently, but whatever you answer, it has to make complete sense when you place it within the passage. Remember, there is no credit for partial correct answers. The answer or choices are different for different blanks and depending on the entire passage. For example, if I throw a passage right to you on your screen, the basset hound appeared in France in the first part of the 16th century. The breed got its name from a French word bas, which means low, the rich who had a strong blank for hunting. Now, what do you think will come in that first blank? Right? So you have 3 answer options there, and you try to look at which option will you can place. Well, so when you're trying to solve this, the most important part is you need to understand what is the meaning of each vocab or word given to you. When we look at the first option, it means a liking to something. Second option talks about when 2 or more people start working together. And the third option is about quality of self-restraining from something. So if you look at the sentence here, the rich who had a strong what? Obviously, you will look at strong what for hunting. liking for hunting. So when you look at liking for hunting, you realize that the first option is much more suitable than any of the other. So you have to know the meaning of the word before you end up solving these questions. So what are the tips for answering? Tips for answering is, don't try to consider each possible combination of answers. Means, the previous example that I showed, I just told you about the answer. I did not tell you about the way you have to answer. So how would I go if I have to answer it the way a student has to answer? Typically, what we have to do is we have to look at each passage, analyze, read through, and try to figure out what are the words that can be placed in those blanks from our side, our knowledge, which will give a coherent information and complete the entire passage. Once we understand that what has to be filled, we start looking into similar words in our answer options. Now, there is no rule that you have to fill the first blank first. You can go in any order you like. So if you are not able to get the right word for your first blank, shift your focus to the second, shift your focus to the third. So you can move around the blanks before finalizing the word or a synonym of the word, and then you start searching for the word. You don't try to look at the word and start placing them from the answer options. That is highly time consuming, and sometimes these words are so very close that it may confuse by the end of the day. So it's very important that you select what makes sense for you, and then you look at the perfect answer option from the given answers. But remember, once you have done your choice, you have to put these answer options back in the passage, read them along so that the passage is now making logical sense, grammatical, and stylistically coherent. The next comes your sentence equivalence. Now, what is sentence equivalence? Sentence equivalence are questions that test your ability to reach a particular conclusion. So how should a passage be completed if you have a partial information? So you got to focus on the meaning of the completed passage itself, right? You cannot focus just on the missing part. Sentence equivalence questions are unlike your text completion. They typically consist of a single sentence with just one blank. You have to identify the two choices that lead to complete coherent sentence. Remember, you will have to identify two choices out of the given options, right? So what are the structures? The structure is a pretty straightforward. You will have a question with a sentence given to you, and there will be exactly one blank. This one blank will be followed by 6 answer options. You have to pick 2 answer options, which will make complete sense when you replace them in that particular blank. Remember, you might get one answer option right and the other answer option wrong, but you will never get a partial mark for it. So there is no marking done or no credit given for partial correct answers. So how do you solve such questions? Let's take an example. This question says, although it does contain some pioneering ideas, one should hardly characterize the work as. Now, there are two things that you have to focus here. The word although, very critical, and understanding what pioneering means. So what is pioneering? Pioneering means using ideas and methods that have never been used before. So when you look at the pioneering word here, remember it is associated with idea and not the work, which means the idea seems to be pioneering, but the work is not because of the word although. So I will look at a similar word, and that would be original and innovative. So I will replace the blank with although it does contain some pioneering ideas, one should hardly characterize the word as work as original. So that makes a complete sentence that the idea seems to be new, but the work doesn't seem to be new. And that's the reason why the although word is used. So you got to pick two right answer options out of the given 6 options. Now, what are the tips to answer these kinds of questions? Don't as we do for text completion, don't simply look at the answer options. Rather than you start looking into what, according to you, can be the synonym, and based on that, you start picking the right answer. Right? Read the sentence again to get an overall sense of it. Identify words and phrases that are very similar or in synonyms. Try to fill the blank with the word that seems appropriate to you, and then see if two similar words are offered in the given answer options. Don't start placing all the answer options in the blank to see which makes sense, because then you are not going with informations or perfect way of answering the question. You're rather doing a trial and error, which is the most dangerous way to do this. And finally, once you have selected your answer options, again, just like we did in the text completion, replace it, see whether it is making logically, grammatically, and stylistically coherent passage altogether. Now, how do you crack the 3 areas of styles of question? Reading comprehension. Number 1, never be in a hurry to finish reading. Your reading speed does not matter here. What matters is your ability to understand the passage, because passages can come from any area which might be familiar or an unfamiliar zone for you. Read the given text very carefully. You don't have to understand what's written, but you must able to understand what's implied by the author in the entire passage. Don't read the text just because they have given you. It is not simple text. You have to go in depth, try to read between lines, try to understand the uh, the the intent of the author, and you got to go beyond what's given there. How do you build reading comprehension? Please start reading newspapers. Analyze every new newspapers that you read. You have articles, read those articles. Try to summarize and write those articles in your own words to see whether they are really making sense with what you read to what you wrote. And that's where you can actually build reading comprehension. Apart from that, start solving mock tests, and at every point of time, analyze your mock tests, start improving your accuracy, and that's how reading comprehension will get improved. How about text completion? Well, do not stop reading materials. Please continue reading newspapers and articles, because that's the best way. But along with that, start now focusing on those words whose meanings you do not know. The vocabulary is the key out here. So once you have come across a word whose meaning you have not clear, or you have a rough idea, note down that word, look at synonyms of that word, look at antonyms of that word, start making sentence of your own using that word, both in the positive and the negative statements, so that next time when you come across that word, more than the meaning of that word, you will remember the usage of the word, which makes it more accurate and more sense to know where I can use that particular word. Similarly, when it comes to sentence equivalence, nothing different from text completion. Your vocabulary is put into test, so please improve your vocabulary. Read articles, do mock tests, and look out for synonyms, antonyms, roots, prefix, suffix way of identifying words, and that's how you're going to do it. That's all, folks. So I hope I haven't missed anything out there, but in case you are writing GRE or you have already written GRE, then share your preparation strategy on the verbal part, right, in the comment below the video, and so that others who are following this gets benefited from your experience. And do ensure to like and follow our videos regularly for more updates. So the next video that we come across is on giving lights on how to improve on the quantitative ability side of the GRE exam. If you have any doubts, you're free to get into our website, edusupport.in, connect to us on the phone number given on the screen, or drop a mail to us, and we'll be more than happy to not only counsel you, but also to mentor you. Signing off from this video, my name is Anant Acharya. I'm the Chief Trainer and Mentor at Erisha EduSupport, I'll be more than happy to guide you accordingly. Thank you. Have a great day ahead.